Hello, thanks for joining us for the first Outlast recap podcast episode. If you recognize my voice or not, I'm Alex. I'm the host and producer of Outlast. I'm joined by Jen.
I'm Jen. What's my title?
You can decide it right here if you want.
Creative director and special ops.
Sure.
Thank you.
Something like that. This is coming out after the first episode of Outlast has premiered on YouTube. And we're just going to do an episode here after each episode of the actual show to just kind of recap what happened, just for fun, kind of talk about the goings on and give some behind the scenes information, special notes, maybe some details of things that didn't make the cut. And so, if you're listening to this, you should obviously make sure that you watch episode 1 first. So close this episode now and go watch episode 1 if you haven't yet. And come back and we'll be right here waiting for you to talk through what happened. First episode of Outlast. We started things around noon, a little after noon, on the Saturday that we started. Friday, right, yeah. On the Friday that we started Outlast and kind of hit things running. A cool, fun first episode, I thought. There was some stuff that happened that I didn't expect, some interesting things. Created, I think, a good starting point for the show.
Yeah, I think it was always up in the air how the first session would go because it was going to be quick. Mm-hmm. And didn't know if everyone was going to jump in and play, and they did. So yeah. I think it's exciting, and was excited to see it in real time, but there were so many places I couldn't be.
Sure.
And so it was really fun seeing the final episode and seeing camp and all these little moments that I definitely missed.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt that way too. It's like things like confessionals or voting booth confessionals or conversations at camp that, I don't see all of it. And so when you come across something that's really funny or interesting that you didn't know happened, it's like, oh, fun. Why don't we start? Maybe we'll do this every episode, but what was the number one standout moment for you in this first episode? The most interesting, exciting, enjoyable moment or part of the episode, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think for me, in real time and while watching, I really enjoyed kind of the opening sequence of everybody coming in and just feeling the excitement, but also feeling them be a little hesitant and scared.
Yeah.
And just kind of getting to introduce everybody to everybody because a lot of people didn't know each other. Right. And hearing some of their answers to your questions. We've got Sky saying she quit her job. Right. And, every person who's seen this episode so far looks at us and says, did she really quit her job?
Right. And Sky can be the ultimate speaker to this, but she was unemployed at the time. Yeah. She did quit her job right before this, whether or not it was precisely for coming out here to play or not will be, the stuff of myths, I suppose. But it is true that she quit her job right before she came out. So I think for me, the most interesting stuff or standout stuff was, I think again, there won't be spoilers for the rest of the show, obviously, because we're only talking about the first episode here. But, Jake's the first boot. I felt really bad because I thought Jake was really cool guy. I was really stoked to have him out there. I was really surprised that he was the first boot originally, because he seemed, super social, super likable, seemed like he'd be strong in challenges. But watching the footage back, and this is, no slight to Jake because it had to be someone. It's like it was clear to me, even though it may have felt somewhat arbitrary, like how he ended up on the short end of the stick, right? Like even from the very beginning, you can kind of see people grouping up and huddling off, and he's often not one to kind of push into those groups. And who knows, maybe he has one more impactful conversation with one person, in those first few hours, and things change for him. So it was kind of validating seeing that in the footage, and at least made me feel, and hopefully the viewer feel too, like, oh, here's why this player, lost.
I think it's one impactful conversation, or it's getting the block off the tree.
Yes, right.
And knowing to use it. And
Yeah.
I think there's that confessional right before Tribal where it starts to dawn on Jake that, oh, no one's really thrown out a name to me.
Yeah.
That's concerning. And
Yeah.
I just found the hidden immunity idol, but I
Right.
don't have it. And kind of these things are starting to click for him. And I think in real time, I think that confessional was pretty close to the end of them walking.
I think so, yeah.
To Tribal.
Yeah.
And at the point that they're walking to Tribal, they can't talk to each other anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they're at Tribal, you're just asking them questions. So, I don't think there was time for him to grab it, or in a way
There was time. We didn't
Okay.
go straight from confessional to leaving. We gave a window there. Yeah, I didn't want to make anybody be like, okay, you're done with confessional and it's time to go. Like, I gave everybody a chance to kind of regain their footing. But yeah, I wish that he would have gotten it and played it, because that would have been fun and crazy.
And I think we've talked about this, that, only Jake is to say, but you were kind of thinking that maybe he wouldn't have played it.
I don't know.
Even if he had it. And that's
Yeah.
a question for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I did get the sense, you mentioned that confessional, like it did seem like he started to sniff it out at that point, right? So I want to say maybe he would have, felt the heat and played it, but, we'll never know. Yeah, I think, related to that, the other most interesting part of this to me was the idol situation on the other camp, which was Ty's finding the clue and then ultimately finding, similarly to Jake, the note on the back of the Orange Tribe idol, but not actually gaining possession of the idol itself, right? Like, yeah. I thought it was really interesting, and I didn't see it coming at all, that both tribes would have somebody, basically find the idol but not realize that that's what it was, right? So in both cases, both Jake and Ty, they see the note on the idol, which says, hey, this is an idol. They grab that. They don't grab the idol itself. I think, like, one of my earliest thoughts or plans for doing Outlast was, when we do the initial immunity idols, I want them to be like the hidden in plain sight type of idols, like they do in Survivor China, for instance, because the camps are small compared to a Survivor camp. If you're looking, you're gonna, and it's just on the ground under some branches or whatever, you're gonna find it eventually. I thought that having it, in plain sight, but you don't know what you're looking for, would be more of a challenge. And so I guess it proved to be that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just didn't anticipate people grabbing the notes, but leaving the wood blocks in both cases even.
I do want to say the beginning is my favorite part, but then also how Ty was trying to play off finding the idol.
Yeah.
Makes me laugh every time, where he just is like, fish,
yeah,
fishy. And something with the idols that I want to share that I don't think is picked up on camera, and the players didn't pick up, but you do see that they find a rolled up scroll that says that there's a hidden immunity idol at their camp. Yeah. And we wrote that in green because the only block that is on the trees as decor was the green block that's the idol.
Yeah, there was only one green block at each camp.
Correct.
And that green block was the idol. Yep.
And then the next clue that I don't think is ever...
No, I think, well, I don't know. We'll talk about it another time since it doesn't happen in this episode.
But anyways, we try to kind of point to it with, the word green or colored in green, and that was never picked up. And so I do think it was an effective strategy to do a hidden in plain sight idol. I just agree. I think Ty explains he thought that the idol was going to be in the piece of paper.
Right.
And so I get how it was confusing, but then it did make really good TV that the idol ended up in Hannah's bag. Ty knew he had to get it. And how is he going to get it without just straight up stealing it from Hannah's bag?
Right, which isn't allowed in Outlast, by the way. You can't go through other people's bags,
So it, I think, really made it interesting and really funny to kind of see play out. And I thought it just really showed another layer to Ty, where Ty is competitive and athletic and, we'll see more of that later, but he also has this strategic side that's kind of sneaky, and he's already playing the game really early on, where he takes that clue. He doesn't want anyone to see it. The first clue that says that there's a hidden immunity idol at your camp. He dumps out his water so that he has an excuse to go fill up his water and read the clue. He's just really good on his feet. It's so good.
I think Ty's whole sequence there was so fun. Like you said, the way that he pocketed it initially. I loved the sequence where he actually rips the thing off of the tree, but then, of course, he takes the note off of it but doesn't keep the thing that's important. But you can see the way, like, as he's sort of narrating it, like, he's trying to lead them away so that he can take the thing. And then when he finally realizes, oh, shoot, like, Anna's clocked it too, he just yanks it off. I think is really fun. I think the one thing now, looking back, and I considered this when we were setting up, but went with the note taped to the back, is like, would have it been more inconspicuous if we just wrote on the block itself, like on the back of the block itself, like, this is a hidden immunity idol or whatever? Would that have been, I don't know if that would have been easier to see than seeing the note, because both people saw the note, right? I think it runs into that same situation where eventually these people are sitting around here hours at a time with only a handful of things to look at. And eventually they're going to look at this and see that it's a thing.
Well, I think in this scenario of the orange camp, they just pulled everything off.
They did pull everything off.
And so in that case, then somebody just stumbles upon, which, I mean, could have happened anyways. So I guess to your point, my thing with writing it on the back was that there was no way there was enough room to write it on the back. And so we did the paper. Just because there was a lot to kind of explain about it.
But anyway, I think really fun, payoffs already with the idols. Obviously, neither of them actually found or played, but they're a part of the story in a way that's, I think fun and, gives a window into people like Ty's early gameplay here. We can kind of go through some of the other major moments or things to talk about here. I want to talk about the tribe names. I think there's a clip when I'm sort of setting things up where, I didn't intend the tribes to be named. I think it's, frankly, silly these days on Real Survivor where they're still giving them names. How many have we exhausted the entire Fijian dictionary at this point? We've got to be pretty close. And I don't ever remember the yellow tribe's name. I just call them the yellow tribe. And so we just had the green tribe and the orange tribe, but they wanted to name their tribes, which is fair. And so we ended up with the orange tribe, which I believe it was just when I said orange, somebody said orange. And then they just went with it. And then perhaps iconically, the green tribe, the nature sluts.
Yeah, inspired by Sam Socks.
Yeah.
who does consider himself a nature slut.
He does. But if you're really one of those, probably wouldn't be wearing socks, as he would say. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I, again, didn't anticipate this or expect this, the naming, but I'm glad it happened. I don't think I ever referred to them by their given names at any point, but yeah, it's fun that they did that, and I think that, you know, it's an easy thing to come around together over,
and
especially as the nature sluts. It's an identity.
I think that's why we intentionally put the time and place to decorate the flags,
Right.
to have a moment where there's something to do, so it's a little less awkward.
Yeah.
When you're at camp for the first time with everybody, it kind of just gives this ability to do something with your hands and talk, so it's not just what do we do. And so I think that was helpful. I liked seeing that part of it. And then also, I think a note that I wanted to bring up was the immediate hostility, my competitiveness
Sure.
that Orange comes out with saying no green on this flag, throw it away, says Adam Daedema, and even throwing it in the lake, which they weren't even near at all. So, you know, right off the bat, they're coming into that first immunity challenge saying, screw you, Green Tribe.
Right. Yeah, it starts, you know, as a joke, you know, all in good fun, but it does percolate into something real between the animosity between these two tribes. Maybe not yet, but I think you'll see in coming episodes things get a little bit more heated. Yeah, let's talk about the immunity challenge. I wanted for this first challenge to do something. This is, you know, classic Survivor, something where people are put in a position where they can either be the hero or they can be the goat, where people are singled out, kind of isolated, and it makes for great story stuff, especially early on when there's so little to go off of. The easiest reason to vote somebody off is, well, they screwed up the challenge. And so, obviously, while we were not putting anybody in a position to fail, we gave a chance here for people to be seen one way or the other. So, of course, started on the edge of this trail on the property. They have to go out at increasing distances to run out and bring back the balls. And then they have to come back one at a time and toss a ball onto each rung. I think that the second part of the challenge in particular went a lot faster than I anticipated. There were only like a couple misses. So I don't know if the distances were just not dialed correctly, like we left them too close, or if people were just locked in and just nailed clutch shots. But anyway, let's talk about, you know, the challenge a little bit and how it went down, the design of it.
Yeah, a little behind the scene is that we forgot the immunity idol.
Yeah.
So I had to run, grab it, toss it off.
Mm-hmm.
So that was important.
Yep.
And then I mean, this is maybe not what you're asking for, but I really loved how well the footage ended up looking, because I think it was pretty, I was worried about it just because it's, you know, you're in the woods.
It's a big distance to cover, yeah.
And hard to know, would it be captured well with all the running?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it really was, and I thought it was really cool watching it back.
Yeah.
I only heard the after stories that Green was absolutely robbed at the last second, and which,
I mean,
looking
we can
back,
talk about this.
They weren't gonna get it.
We can talk about this. So I keep it out. I cut out my audio in the actual episode because it's not helpful to the story, you know. But long story short, for some reason, I think it's because Green shot in a weird order, like they didn't go closest to furthest or whatever. They had landed 2 balls, and I thought they had landed 3, and so they had 2 left, that they were gonna, because you have 2 left, you can toss both of them and then go and retrieve them. I thought that they only had 1 left, and one was on and then fell off, or they grabbed an extra one or something. And so I was telling Anna before she shot, hey, how many balls do you have? Do you have the correct number, right? And it delayed her from shooting. Now, yeah, that's how it happened. They could have kept playing and talking, but I understand why they didn't. And yeah, I don't, quite earnestly watching it, the amount that she was delayed was a couple seconds. You could say it could come down to a couple seconds, but I don't think it did. But in any case, it's not in the show because there's no need for it to be, but Green would tell you, and if you know them, maybe they did tell you that they were, I don't know, tampered with during the challenge. And I will offer my sincere condolences to the Green Tribe. In my defense, I thought they were cheating. So I'm not actually worried about it. I think it was the result was unchanged.
Yeah.
I think, regarding the challenge, the other fun part that we don't really see, but Sam mentions it. I love when Adam and Sam are running around. They've got the furthest distance to go. They're kind of neck and neck. They're it's still early. They're having a fun time. They're laughing and stuff. I think what happens is actually Sam grabs Adam's ball, and he's there in front. And so Sam grabs Adam's ball first, and then when Adam gets there, he realizes the only one there is the other team's ball, and so he grabs it. And meanwhile, he's chasing Sam, yelling Sam's name, saying that they grabbed the wrong balls, and so they had to stop and swap, which is a funny thing that happened. And Sam does mention it, that he takes a little bit of ownership for slowing down the team on the way back because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say going into the first challenge, or just even into this whole series, I would have thought that Green was going to dominate physically.
I was concerned that if one tribe was going to kind of run the table, it would have been Green.
So I was honestly surprised because I wasn't there at the challenge, that when they came back and found out that Orange won, was super surprised. And I was really interested to see, okay, well, then who's going to get voted out? Yeah. And
I think what it came down to more than anything else, honestly, was the balls getting tangled while they were getting ready to throw. Dan's wrestling with untangling those balls for a good, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. That's enough. And Orange's got tangled a little bit too, but maybe a third of the time was spent, right? If that doesn't happen, or if they have I think Elizabeth said later, whether to me or to the camera or someone, oh, we should have kept them separate instead of holding them all together. Mm-hmm. It's the tribe that would have had that foresight would have won this. Okay, cool. Then let's talk about the Green camp here a little bit before we go to Tribal Council. So, the thing happens here at Green that we kind of expected to happen the first time out, which is you get back and it's kind of awkward. Everyone sort of sits in a circle and is well, what do we do now, right? Nobody wants to be the first person to start making moves, but also nobody wants to be the last person. And so it's kind of this game of chicken before things ultimately start to coalesce a little bit.
Yeah, and I think you see this, that, when they were first at camp, or maybe even at this point, little moments like going to the water well, or, walking here or there, is those little quick moments that people did team up and form alliances and formed that 6. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was really pivotal to, Jake getting out, and that from the narrative, it's these 6 and then Jake and Allie.
Right. Yeah, it's like interesting the way that, because what it also sounds like is there's maybe a few sort of smaller groups that merge together to form that group of 6, right? There's like Elizabeth and Abby have a thing, Abby and Dan have a thing, Elizabeth and Sam have a thing, Dan and David have a thing, you know, Sam and Anna have a thing. And so then they all kind of like, oh, let's, you know, we can work together here in this group for a while. Which is interesting because the other way it could go is they see each other as adversaries and you've got like disparate groups against each other, but instead they kind of come together, which I think makes sense here for a first vote. I'm sure everybody's thinking, as long as it's not me, I'm content for the most part. And
this is when Sam kind of offers himself.
Yeah, he mentions it a little bit in that I think he's because of the challenge performance gives himself as an option, but I think that's pretty quickly moved past.
I think you can tell he feels bad, and he
never meant it.
No, I don't think so, but I think he felt bad because he's like, and they say it in Tribal where like it really sucks that somebody has to get sent home now.
Right.
And there's no real reason for it.
Yeah.
That's just, they made a decision. It's based off of very little.
Yeah.
Other than, yes, they did have a conversation and say, let's work together.
Right.
That was all of 5 minutes that they decided that, maybe more, but it was really quick decisions based off of a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
And so I think it was this, I kind of messed up and I feel really bad. And it's just because Sam is a really great guy. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, well, you can vote me off. Yeah. But again, I don't think he meant it.
He definitely didn't, because in the confessional, it's like the next thing he says is like, he gives his assessment of who could be going home. It's somebody who's quieter, who's not really making as much their presence felt, right? Mm-hmm. And so if he actually wanted it to be him, he would have said something different than that. I think what I was really impressed with and surprised by was it coming into a unanimous vote, knowing, there's conversations obviously that happen strategically, otherwise it wouldn't have been a put together vote. But like my experience of things at camp before Tribal was that it was a lot of sitting around, like a slow start, and then it wasn't really clear to me that, I don't know, a lot of strategy talk was even happening after that, right? I expected it to kind of be a weird plurality vote where people there'd be a number of people that weren't looped in, just kind of throwing votes wherever. But everything came together really cleanly in a 7-1 vote, which I didn't expect. And also going into Tribal, I didn't know if Jake had actually grabbed the idol or not. So I was on edge just as much as hopefully the viewers were, like when his name is coming up, or it seems like it may be coming up, like, does he have the idol? Is he going to play it? And turns out he never did. So yeah, I think, going back to camp here, it's like what you, I think, saw done really well by the players who kind of were decision makers here was not pushing the envelope too hard, starting with an agreeable name, letting the game kind of come to them to some degree. And yeah, again, was surprising to me how clean that first vote was.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. We were standing off to the side, and I was really surprised that it was Jake. But again, I just had no idea who it was even going to be. And so, honestly, anyone's name who was written down, I would have I would have audibly gasped like I did over Jake.
Sure,
So,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, anything else noteworthy at Tribal? It was kind of a ho-hum Tribal Council. Nobody really did or said anything too crazy.
Yeah, I think Dan's, confession booth moment just really kind of summed it up, really. It's sorry, it's you, it just couldn't be me kind of thing.
Yeah. And then, of course, Jake goes to Last Chance Island, which is our early game twist here, where, this came about. I guess, long story short, Last Chance Island is a redemption island type mechanic where at some point a player will re-enter the game. Really, came about. I'm traditionally not a huge fan of re-entry mechanics in shows like Survivor. I wanted to do one at least for the first portion of the game because I just personally would feel bad for the people who, blocked off a weekend and paid an entry fee and were stoked for this. To come out and play for 2 hours and then be done. So that was the primary reasoning for it, but the Jake becomes the first inhabitant of Last Chance Island, and will have a chance to come back. So his game isn't completely over by any means. He'll have a chance to re-enter the fold. I think Last Chance Island, of course, anybody who is a Top Chef fan will recognize the inspiration there in that I think Top Chef does re-entry better than any other show, any other reality competition show. I'm frustrated when Survivor does it because it always feels unearned, or especially when it happens late in the game, your Edge of Extinctions or whatever. But I think why it feels good in Top Chef is the player who is the later you're voted out or that you're eliminated in Top Chef, the better chance you have of re-entering because you have to win fewer duels, right? And so whoever gets back in at that point, it really feels earned. Either they were really good, they made it really far, and so it makes sense that they're here again. Or, they beat 6 other people in Last Chance Kitchen or whatever. And I don't know, something about it, it's probably because it's a skill merit-based competition show and not just a social politics show, feels better than, I don't know. I think also, and again, not to go too long-winded on this, but there's really, if you're able to go to something like Redemption Island or Last Chance Island or whatever and then re-enter the game, you have a pretty huge advantage in that you've been able to talk about what's going on with the other people that are coming through, and really slow down and process what got you eliminated in the first place, to then take that knowledge back into the game when everybody else has been running, too fast to have that process moment. So anyway, I wanted to homage what, in my opinion, is the best re-entry mechanic in reality TV.
I also want to say that with Last Chance Kitchen and Top Chef, there's the moments where a really great chef gets out because of a group challenge or something ridiculous that doesn't reflect on them as a chef. And I think that's where Last Chance Island is helpful, because these first couple of boots, you have 30, 40 minutes with these people. You haven't really been able to show who you are, how you play. And so being able to come back in, there's still plenty of game. Whereas it's different in regular Survivor, where they end up getting to go all the way to the end because they won one challenge when they came back, and yada, yada, yada. So
that's the other side of it too, that I don't think there's a solve for, of being good at Survivor or Outlast is such a multifaceted thing, obviously. You have to be good socially, you have to be good strategically, physically is a part of it, any other number of reasons. But to be good at Redemption Island, you have to be good at one thing, and that's challenges. And so it doesn't feel representative. but you can't do a vote back in because then you get the Pearl Islands outcasts situation, and you have Lillian Morris getting voted back in because everybody thinks that nobody else will vote for her, and it's an unsolvable thing. But in any case, we'll talk when Last Chance Island is retired about the thing as a whole, but I'm glad we put it in because I did want to give these early boots a chance to return. We won't say when exactly that happens, but we will say it's an early season, early game thing. It doesn't continue late into the show.
I would also like to say, in case Jake is listening, we learned a lot with Last Chance Island while doing it. And
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, we'll talk about it as a whole,
okay,
in the future. But yes, you can continue your thought.
Well, I just wish that we would have brought snacks or a chair to Jake.
Yes.
It just was so chaotic.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. Okay, I think we've hit a lot of these, but let's go to any other sort of behind-the-scenes notes, either from live production or in the edit, or in the planning. I don't know, maybe talk about the tribal council set and like the choices of how it was set up and all that.
Yeah, so there's this area on the property that my dad has created for the grandkids. And it's kind of like this little town setup. And you can kind of see it in the background, but it has this like tree house that there's stairs that go up to this little space, and that's where we set up the voting booth so that I think it just, two things. One, it got them away from the other players.
Yeah.
While also being a nice way to video the moment that they're voting. And then also I think it was just kind of like a fun element for them to get to walk up the stairs and kind of
felt like an actual Survivor voting booth.
Yeah. And then up there we had just some decor and a pin that we got that looks like a real Survivor writing tool and the voting box. And then kind of behind the players, we had the lit torches. Mm-hmm. So that way, two things, lighting, and we wanted to make sure that we had that kind of element of, putting out their torch. Mm-hmm. Overall, I think it was a really fun space.
Yep.
Logistically, later on, the lighting gets a little difficult as it is much darker in there than what you realize.
Yeah, like looks cool until it gets just too dark. Which only really happens once, I think.
Yeah,
and
we had this panic moment of stringing lights plugged into a generator thing and, trying to get more tiki torches and fluid. And so it was the scramble at one point because it was like, we're stretching, we're pushing to get this done tonight because otherwise all the players are going to go crazy if we don't.
Right.
So
yeah, you can see on a couple occasions, I think it's episode 4 and episode, I don't know what that is, 9 maybe, the like last ones we do at the end of the day. It's like it starts to get dark. It starts to get tough to see. Our mics are dying. Our producers are dying. So it gets a little tough. Any other notes before we do Players of the Week?
I don't think so, other than just, I think I'll do this every time, but shout out to the producers. First episode, big learning curve. Mm-hmm. And I think they did really well. Mm-hmm. And, the property is pretty huge. So it's a lot of walking. I think I clocked like 15,000 steps that first day. And that's half a day. So, so I just think everybody did a really great job. I think players, I was just really impressed with everybody. Mm-hmm. And,
Great. Okay, well, we'll do this every week too, and that Jen and I will both name our personal players of the week. And maybe we'll keep a running tally of who earns the most from each of us here. Do you want to go first, Jen? And this would be just awarded to your, I don't know, your MVP of sorts, for whatever criteria you want to make it, whether it was most entertaining or best gameplay or most impressive move or
Yeah.
I
have mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
My player of the week goes to Ty.
Hooray. And why is that?
It's really the fishy for me. It's one of my favorite moments of the first episode.
Uh-huh.
And it's become something that I say now.
Fish.
Fishy.
Fishy. Yeah, it is funny. I think that's a good move. Like, Ty hasn't found the idol at this point, but he's the only one with the knowledge of what it is. He's displayed an acumen for the game on an orange tribe, which appears to be pretty vibes heavy at this point. Mm-hmm. Riding high. So, yeah, I think Ty's a standout in this first episode.
Yeah.
I'm still considering mine. I think I give an honorable mention here to Sam for naming the nature sluts, which feels like a monumental moment in the history of Outlast.
Yeah. How many close-ups of his socks?
There's two or three, and I'm glad we got them, because otherwise people will be like, "Why are we calling these people nature sluts?" But you get a good sock shot.
Yeah. Hopefully YouTube doesn't take it down.
Well, yeah, I didn't name the episode Nature Sluts for that reason, but I'm sure that people are saying a whole lot worse than that word.
Yeah.
In the content of their videos, so I think we're okay. I think I'm giving my actual, so, you know, Survivor superfans, listeners to Rob Has a Podcast will know that, of course, the Know-It-Alls weekly award is the Fishy. Stephen Fishback offers this award. It's an arbitrary and reductive broken award in the eyes of many, famously. But they kind of have a rule that in order to win the award, you have to be on the group that goes to tribal council, because it shows that you've, had some agency in the game. And I think that's a philosophy that I will try to stick with as often as possible. And for as kind of all over the place as this first vote was, I think Elizabeth does kind of get credit for kind of wrangling the cats here, to mix metaphors, and is kind of the primary player, at least as identified by others on the tribe, as kind of putting things together. And she also explains, I think, at tribal council, she makes her perspective and point of view known in a way that's beneficial to her game too. She's positioning herself well. So I think I will give my Player of the Week award to Elizabeth. Even though she doesn't get to throw a ball. She's the one who didn't get to throw a ball because the challenge ended before then. And then we'll also make special mention here. The title of this episode is Speed, Grit, and Balls. In Survivor, tradition, this is a direct quote from the episode. This was said by Sky after the tribe returns from their win, saying that this is what the Orange Tribe is all about. It's about speed, grit, and balls. And I think this is one of, I think every episode that Sky is in the game, she's going to be your Vegas odds favorite to be the one to name the episode. So, probably is not going to be the last time that she is the episode namer. Great. I think that does it. Thank you for listening. Like I said, after every episode, we'll do one of these recap pods again to just give you some more information, kind of help fill in the gaps of the story if there are any, and give our takes on what happened. Make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel so that you get those notifications and they hit your feed when new episodes come out. At the time of recording this, the plan is that these episodes are coming out, every Monday for the next several weeks. And so stay up to date there. And then also the Discord is a great place for you to be notified when new episodes come out and to engage in discussion about Outlast. If that link is in the description, then, feel free to join. If not, just comment or DM us here and we'll share the link with you. So thanks again for listening, and we hope we'll see you next time.